Alright, got both sides sanded. And they'll get more sanding before the end. Make sure y'all can see this. Now I had a question on what kind of stencil I use for the Maker's Mark. Right, there we go. That is a cut out on a vinyl cutter. And these wound up being a little bit not exactly what I wanted, but I don't have access to a vinyl cutter anymore, so I've got to find somebody to make me some more of these. A little bit different than these are. So we take this tape, painter's tape. Now this is the plastic kind. We're doing this because I don't want it to bleed over onto the blade. If you're not real careful, that'll happen. Make sure we got room, which we do. And you just peel it off. And I had these printed in a whole page of this stuff. And there wasn't enough space in between them like I wanted. But they work. Okay, we'll stick it right like that. We're on the tape on either side. That'll help keep it from running off over this way. It still happens sometimes, but and somebody else made a comment that was very, very true. There's a lot of work that goes into this kind of stuff that y'all don't never see. Normally you don't see this. You see, I try to keep the videos fairly short, even though I like long videos myself. Try to keep them fairly short. Okay, I've got the stencil on there. Take a pick, because this doesn't cut them all the way through. Pick that around. Take a pair of tweezers. Pull it off, because whatever the etcher hits is what it's going to etch. That's why you seal up around it. Sometimes this can be very, very aggravating, and sometimes it goes fairly easy. And I'm not going to say it until I get done. There we go. That went easy. It always don't go easy like that. Now, I am a firm believer that you make something like this, if you're proud of it, which I'm proud of everything that comes out of this shop, you put your name on it. I don't see how you could mess up a blade or ugly it up and all the other nonsense. Whoever buys it from you, yeah, they know where they got it. But when they pass it down to their kids and grandkids and all that neat stuff, how are they going to know what it is, where it came from? Let's see, now I'm lost now. I lost my rubber band. Keep my etcher right up under the table there. I'll go into more detail about the etcher. I've done it before, but I'll do it again later. Hot wire goes there. Hang on. Rubber band, that's what I was looking for. Now you can buy etching machines that are absolutely great. Nothing wrong with them if you want to spend a few $100s. And I had an extra battery charger, and thanks to YouTube I learned how to make my own, and I've used it for a long time. Now I use an old ashtray, saltwater solution, just a couple teaspoons of salt in a condiment thing. Put mustard, ketchup, if you eat ketchup. I don't, but that kind of thing in there. Works fine for this too. And let's find our power cord, which plugs into a power strip down here. So I have a way to turn it off and on. Make sure it's off. Dampen that into salt water. You can feel it sizzle. You know it's working. See a little bit of smoke coming out. A little bit more water. Doesn't take long. Now if you do 4 or 5 at a time, you'll have to change the little felt pad on there. And that's just felt that you get at any hobby store, Walmart, anything like that. Any color you want to get it. No, the color doesn't matter. Okay, turn it off. That should do it. Wipe off the excess. And as soon as you can, take all this off. Just in case something leaked down in there, you can wipe it before it starts to corrode. I'll stick them right there from the thing. Get us a little bit of acetone. Or fingernail polish remover, same thing. Clean that off. And we have an etch. I'll never understand why some people say that messes up a blade. I don't get it, but I've only been doing this for well over 15 years, so I'll learn one day, I guess. There we go. Now, only thing left for right now, heat treat. Still raining, the wind's blowing, it's cold, but I ain't scared. Let's go heat treat it. I'll try to get the camera out there if it's not too awful nasty out there. Alright, got the forge lit. First thing I need to do is heat up my quenching oil. And I'm going to quench these in hydraulic fluid. Used it for years, it works just fine. I also have a container of vegetable oil that I use for kitchen stuff. Now you can buy the fancy high dollar, $175, 5-gallon bucket of knife quenching oil. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time. Hydraulic fluid works good. Use motor oil, burnt motor oil works good. Vegetable oil. So if it works, that's what I do. I've got some old irons, that's an old tire tool. That's a piece of rebar. Another old tire tool. Get those glowing red hot and stick them down in that oil and then heat it up. As long as it's warm, in my opinion, it's fine. So that's what we're going to do. Excuse me for being shaky, it's cold out here. It's in the 40s now. Remember these? While we're heat treating the big blade, we're going to go ahead and do these two. Alright, I got the two small ones done. Before we do the big guy, it should not work. That's pretty thick steel. But just in case, I'm going to put it over in the straightening jig. That's cold too, so I'm going to get that warm. So I got this piece of old file in here. Get it hot, put it in the straightening jig, get that warmed up. I'll try to get the camera so that you can see that. So, wind just slacked off. Windy, it's cold. That'll be okay. Alright, hot file, clamp down, that'll warm it up. It'll take just a minute. Alright, big knife in the forge. It's hard to move the camera around. Keep an eye on that too. Don't want to get it too hot. I see that a lot too, guys. Get it way, way, way too hot. A dull red color is all we need. Alright, we're going to try to do this so I can show y'all the whole process. Coming up to heat, we're going to quench and get it in the straightening jig. Just about there. It looks straight. Let's get it over here. And there we go. I'll let that set for a while till it cools off. All the way down cool, probably about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, as cold as it is out here. Then we'll have to clean it, temper it, and we'll move on from there. Good morning. Back at it. All right, we got our heat treat done. Tempering is done. Remember all that pretty metal we had? Now it's dirty again. We got to go through the whole sanding process over again. That's okay. It's part of it. And the way I do it, I got this little board, little piece of OSB, and just a scrap one by something. When it wears out, I'll put another one on there. That's to get it up off of the table, where it's not flat against the table. So when you sand it, you're not banging all into the table. And I'll take the pinholes where the pins go. Put a screw in there, a couple of screws, secure it down or it won't move around. Nice and secure. Got a little bit left to it. Let's get the sanding all over again. Then we'll go to the buffer. We'll say semi-satin finish on it. So we'll do that. Then we'll get to work on the handle. Getting close. Back to this. I forgot I should have in the beginning go to the wire wheel right quick and just knock these little edges out, because all that's got to come out. Somebody got a boombox music player outside. Oh, it's a car going down the road. I hope they can hear that. Be back in a little bit. Okay, got that side done. Now before I go to the buffer, I'm going to go ahead and run it with some 600 grit. I'll just save a little time on the buffer. And it's nice and smooth. It can go just like it is. Oh, missed a little spot there. Buffer will get that. Got two 600 pads out. Wear out a pad here and on the other side, and then we'll be ready to go to the buffer. It's still early, y'all. Can't turn the camera off with the TV remote. Now, I'll do this side. It's a process, but it's fun. Alright, we're not far from a satin finish already, just with the sanding. So we're going to take some white compound, polishing compound, and I'll work on it just a little bit. Excuse my buffing table mess over here. This is the messiest part of the shop, and it gets that way. So alright, show you just a little bit of how I do this. Get down in them cracks and crevices. And just evening everything out. Being very careful, because the buffer, you get that thing wrong, it will get away from you. Happens all the time. I go side to side. compound gets a little sticky sometimes. You can go to the clean wheel. Knock it off of it. Alright, I'm going to continue on. We'll take a few minutes, and I need to move the camera because it's really in the way. Alright, there is our satin finish. Now, except for a final wipe down, maybe even wax this one, and sharpening the blade, this part of the blade is done. So now, let's get on the handle. We're going to wrap it up in a paper towel so we don't scratch it up while we're handling it. Like that, and I'll get some tape and tape it up. Next we'll go to the handle, get this installed. Now the hand guard finger is not going to be this big. It's going to be shaped off. That's what I got to work on next, figure out how big that's going to be. Alright, got our guard fitted. I'm going to round it on either side and just keep checking it till it looks right. Now some of y'all are going to see this little gap in here. Don't worry about that. When I get it all set, I'll drive that down. It will wind up flush. Be a friction fit. Should come out just right. Alright, let's go take care of this. Alright, let's get us a test fit. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to take this over to the granite plate, put down a piece of sandpaper, knock the burrs off, knock this film off of this brass, and we'll go ahead and polish it, and then get that installed, start working on the handle install. One little spot right there, let me take that off and we'll do that. Alright, there is our finger guard. It's slippery. It's like my hands. Fit like that. Just about got that pressed on there. It's just a little bit of resistance there at the end. See if that's straight. Both of them look straight to me. Alright, let's get our handles the same length. This is what we need here. So we're going to put a piece of tape on there like that. Trim it off there so we can get even. Hang on. See why I'm doing this here in just a minute. Now we're going to line these up like this, and from the end make sure we're straight. Wait a minute, I gotta take this side too. Duh. You gotta think about this kind of stuff. Sometimes I get ahead of myself. There's a bunch of ways to do this. This is just the way I like to do it on this type of situation. There we go. Now we're going to take a couple of drops of super glue, maybe 3 drops. There, there, there. Line the end up. Let that dry a little bit. Then we will have a no guesswork line where that one's got to be trimmed off. I like to sit it in the vise for a second. Make sure it's dry while I'm doing something else. So we put it in this one over here. Not a lot of pressure, just enough to hold it. Put that away and clean up our mess, because I don't like working in the middle of a mess. Oh, y'all remember these? We'll get to those in a couple of days. Everything is even. Take our tape off. Like this. Now this video is going to run long, y'all. But I'm going to try to finish this today, within the next couple of hours. Pardon me, or a few hours. Because this will be part 3. Part 4 will be making the sheath, which I think y'all are really going to like. A little bit different. Here I go hacking and coughing again. Excuse me. Alright, now we're gonna before I glue the steel, before I glue the handle on, we're gonna make a couple of marks here and try to grind off some of this metal. Excuse me, dang it, before we get the epoxy on there, just to break up the heat. And we gotta take that edge down. Alright, there we go. We can grind off that little bitty bit in the end. That won't be a big deal. It's once you epoxy it, if you grind too much metal and get it too hot, that'll turn that epoxy loose. So there we go. We got that side. See if I can hold it good enough to get us an idea. And this still needs some rounding and finishing here too, but we'll do that in the very end. Now let's go ahead and epoxy this on, and we got to address this little spot here, which we'll do after this piece dries. Alright, epoxy is not fully set, but it's set good enough where we can continue on. Now I don't want to lose this piece of bottom piece of the crown. I've got a little piece of wood here. And sand it down a little bit and epoxy that to here, and then sandwich it together, and then trim it back at the final sanding. So let me grind this down just a little bit. I believe this is maple, good hardwood. We'll do that, then we can drill the holes and put the other side on.